Hello, fellow backtrackers. I'm Alex McClellan.
And I'm Mason McClellan.
And we're the Backtrack Brothers. And today we are reviewing the 1999 movie, The Matrix, starring Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, etc.
A whole bunch of stars.
Whole bunch. To kick things off, Mason, why don't we talk about your perspective on how this movie holds up now in the year of our Lord 2023. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so visually, this movie is, at the start especially, it's very green. It has this like green aura. And I don't know if it's to show the contrast between like the later halves of the movie and the beginning, but it doesn't look like pleasant to watch.
Interesting. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, it's also not pleasant, some of the really freaky scenes in this movie. Like, I knew about this movie when I was, younger than I am now.
Right.
So I'm glad I didn't watch it because I would have freaked out.
You're thinking almost like the bug scene. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that can be super creepy. That definitely creeped me out. And to your point, Mason, this is such a popular movie. I think most people out here that are watching this video have at least heard of this movie.
Yeah.
If not, probably know the twist to it already, which was unveiled pretty early on. But I agree with you, Mason. Like that green hue and really the music, it's very like techno, new wave, like that late 90s. It really almost set that trend of early 2000s like gross tech.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we call it cyberpunk now, like that's what you will think of it as, but this was kind of like what helped birth that aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That green text. Yeah, and all black in case you haven't noticed. Like that type of stuff. A lot of that came from this movie. You see a lot of you probably still see them now, these dorks that walk around in dusters and all black and think they're cool even though they have no athletic or intelligent bone in their body. You know those people.
We all know those people.
Yes, we do.
One visual sequence that stuck out in my head is when Keanu Reeves goes into the new world for the first time.
Yeah.
And he's like...
It's fucking cool. I like it.
Yeah. That stuck in my head. That was probably one of the more disturbing because it just seems so surreal.
Well, you're thinking about the part where he touches the mirror and then goes into his mouth. I love that transition. I think it's one of the coolest. I think that part has really aged well. To your point, some of it definitely hasn't. Like I'm thinking about there's the part where he jumps off the building. There's
the ground.
Yeah, the ground bounce effect doesn't look too great nowadays.
There's also a lot of face stretching scenes. There's a lot of face being stretched in this movie.
Or the mouth being closed.
Yeah.
That didn't look too great. But I'll tell you what, those Sentinels are really, those I thought looked pretty good, especially when it's dark. Now when they get into the ship and it starts getting a little bit brighter, you can start seeing a little bit of the CGI in it. But I think The Matrix is really smart in how it's shot, where a lot of that CGI stuff is more in the darkness around, and then they try to do more of the physical stuff practically, like a lot of stuff where they're flying around the screen and doing all that stuff, like defying gravity. A lot of that is practical wire effects. So it's not them doing it in a computer. They're actually doing stunts and doing all that stuff. So I think that's part of why this movie does, at least some of the effects, age well, is because they were done practically.
Yeah.
Like the Keanu in the birth scene, I'll just put it that way to not spoil it. In the birth scene, all those practical effects that are going on. There's tubes and all these needles and all that stuff.
Yeah, someone with a fear of needles,
a lot of needles in this movie. A lot of needles. A lot of surgical type stuff going on in this movie now that I think about it. Yeah, for sure. I gotta bring up one big thing, and that is the technology in general in this movie. Across the board, it could not be more evident as 1999. The big brick cell phones, like the only wireless phones they have are the ones that have the slide open mouthpiece.
It's apparent from the beginning when she has to run to the phone booth.
Which, do you even know what a phone booth is? When's the last time you've seen a phone booth?
I don't think I've seen one in person.
Exactly. I feel like
maybe in a museum.
But yeah, exactly. To your point, Mason, the use of payphones, just any phone other than a cell phone in general. Think about half the drama in this movie is they have to run to find a phone to get out, and that would never be a problem now.
Yeah, imagine Matrix. I don't know what they did for the newer movies, if that was even a factor. Because they can just whip out a cell phone in an instant and just teleport anywhere.
I should have done better homework ahead of this movie. I should have watched the full series of all 4 movies before doing this, but unfortunately I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, and apparently the 4th wasn't very good.
You know what? It's so much just driven to appease the people that wanted a movie for the last 20 years. It's just a lot of callbacks to the original 3 movies.
Yeah.
And if you really enjoy those first 3 movies, you're probably gonna enjoy those moments. But yeah, it's not fantastic. But I love Neil Patrick Harris, and he's the villain, and I think he's fantastic in it. So that saves a lot for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, this isn't about that movie. This isn't about for this next portion of our little video ditty we're doing here, we're going to talk about the parts and kind of like ideas of this movie, maybe scenes that were our least and most favorite. Mason, why don't you kick it off with one of either, whatever you prefer.
So one thing that kind of mixed on is the actual action.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of the practical stuff and most of it is done pretty well.
Yeah.
I can get like the whole like dodging bullets type thing, and it was pretty cool when like Keanu Reeves was fighting super fast, effortlessly, like that.
One-handed.
Yeah. But
cool.
One thing I didn't like is when it got way too over the top, when they were like wall running or like cartwheeling around corners.
And everything's in slow motion.
Yeah, it's like there's one thing where you're dodging bullets, but I feel like cartwheeling.
Well, it's one of those things. It's they're defying the rules of gravity and physics and space, so they can run on the walls. They can do all that crazy stuff. It gets even crazier further into the franchise you get. This Matrix 1 is relatively tame in that department. Wait, if you have that compared wait until you see the next one.
What advantage is cartwheeling around a corner giving it?
Well, clearly you've never shot at a cartwheeler. Coming from someone with experience. No, I'm kidding. But no, I imagine it would be a little bit harder to shoot somebody that's cartwheeling with your body. Now, you would think aim for the center, right?
Aim for the center.
You would think. But, it's hard to shoot accurately, especially from a distance. You know what I mean? And he's wearing all black. He's blending into the wall. I agree.
Are you forgetting that the walls are like bright gray?
Well, I'm colorblind, so it all blends in. So...
Maybe the guys who are shooting them are colorblind.
Maybe that's the whole thing. That would be great. That would be a great reveal at the end. Damn it, why are we sending a bunch of colorblind soldiers?
That's why they all have the glasses on.
That makes sense.
Because they're blind.
That makes sense.
Wow.
So I get what you're saying about the missed action. Yeah. Personally, maybe it's just because it's a nostalgic thing for me. You gotta think. So if I was born in '91, this came out in '98. This has been hugely popular basically my whole life, basically as far back as I can remember. And back when this came out in the early 2000s, or '99, this was mind blowing that they could do this.
Yeah.
This was insane. Like the spinning camera, the slow motion, the freezing, all the different aesthetics. It just was mind blowing how they were doing it. And I'll also say this too, just going into one of my favorite parts of this movie, I love the philosophical debate throughout this film.
Yeah.
And I'll toss it out there. I can definitely see how someone could be annoyed by it and think it's a little angsty teenager, like, oh, I guess you just got through Philosophy 200 type script. And I get that, but it brings up valid questions and cool things that people weren't talking about as much at that time.
Yeah, and I feel like they didn't just throw everything at you at once. Like I feel like they explained it nicely to where it didn't feel like too much information.
I agree.
Even though it was a lot of information.
It was, and even like they made a choice to not tell you about the fact that you could die in the Matrix, like in real life as well, that those are tied. They didn't explain that until later. Like that's an example of something where it was separated. Or the Oracle. I mean, the Oracle doesn't even come in halfway through.
Yeah.
And then, all those different pieces, I think they do a good job of sprinkling them throughout instead of just hitting you with a bunch of shit and then doing a bunch of action scenes for another hour and not having to go back to dialogue. I think you need to have that. A little bit of mixture, you know what I mean?
I agree.
I do have to talk about my favorite part of this movie. It's probably the favorite part for most people watching this, if I had to guess. Spoiler if you have not seen this, because I'm going to be talking about the true end of the movie. So if you haven't seen this, I'm going to put a timestamp right here, and that is where you're going to skip to miss a spoiler. Anyway, I love the ending when Keanu, spoiler! After he gets shot and he comes back to life, very Jesus-y. And this is a lot of religious text in this. We don't need to go into that. We are not very religious people. There's a lot of great YouTube videos out there that dive into it. I suggest you check them out. Anyway, he rises like Jesus, and he takes on the three agents, and it's not just him, just the confidence he has, the total change, the score, it's this triumphant score that comes in, and I literally tear up and smile every time I hit that. I've watched this movie 20, 30 times. Every time I hit that portion, I just get this warm butterflies in my stomach, and I don't know what that is, but I think it's just super effective filmmaking, hitting that climax, and it works so well, because you see how much he struggled from when he was a scared little person, couldn't get on the scaffolding, couldn't fight, getting his ass kicked, to now looking at where he is, where he's just like, it's fucking awesome, dude.
I agree. That was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, it's fucking
I do
cool.
like the worm, though.
Yeah. Think we learned one of Mason's fetishes.
My favorite character from this movie. Sorry for the abrupt transition,
dude.
but like, you know, we gotta keep moving.
Yeah, we got an agenda here.
I thought Morbius was sick.
Yeah, Morbius.
He was kind of like, he took this like role of like a kind of like that wizard who like knows everything.
Or Yoda.
Yeah, like kind of like Yoda role, like this old guy who knows a lot about it, who kind of teaches the young apprentice.
Yeah.
I always just like those characters in movies. They seem
Yeah.
like the coolest, and they always, you know, kick the most ass.
Exactly.
I feel like he didn't really have that moment to kick ass.
No, well, once again, I keep forgetting. Have you seen the second one?
No.
Oh boy. All right, so a lot of people shit on that one, but I think what you'll like about it, I think the second one is definitely geared more towards the action-oriented crowd. It's a lot more action than dialogue compared to the first movie.
Yeah.
Some people don't like it for that. Other people like it better for that. I see both sides. I think you'll like the second one, and trust me, he gets some moments.
Cool. So
Yeah, he does.
I'll be able to see that in the second one. But in the first one, I wish he had more of that. But as a character, he was like the most interesting.
Oh yeah, very emotionally driven. And it takes a little while to introduce him. You're just hearing about it, like, oh, who's this Morpheus guy? And then when he shows up, you're like, oh, this is badass. Look at those cool ass glasses he has.
Yeah.
Talking about gravity defying. Those glasses make no fucking sense. Done. So I'm gonna go a little bit different side. So this is one of my favorite characters, even though he's actually an evil character. Spoiler alert. But if you're at this point of the video, you probably don't care. But anyway, skip 30 seconds if you don't want to hear about this character, because I'm going to talk about something that's important. We're going to talk about my man, Joey Pantoliano, Joey Pants, and he is the villain, the guy who turns, was it Cyrus? The guy who turns on the crew and wants to be reinserted back into the Matrix. I think he's a great villain character. You have Hugo Weaving, who's Agent Smith. He's obviously just top tier, like S tier, as the kids like to say. S tier, right? Right. So S tier villain right there with Hugo Weaving. And then here comes Joey Pants, and he has to be convincing too. He's got to be evil from the within, be a little fucking rat. And I think he does a great job at that. I think he's fantastic.
And he's scary once it gets revealed. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't know. I feel like he could take down everybody if he wanted to.
When he's just unplugging people, dude, that's intense. That is intense. And just that facial hair. You see a man with that facial hair, you fucking run. You just run.
Not necessarily a character I didn't like, but a performance. I've never been, don't attack me, I've never been a huge Keanu Reeves fan.
I've been waiting for you to say that. I knew you were going to be a fucking Keanu hater. I knew it.
I don't like his voice. He seems like he's like trying to be too cool for the movies.
But that's the thing, he is too cool. That's what you don't understand about Keanu Reeves. He is too cool. No, but I get it. He has that kind of like surfer California thing going on, so it's kind of hard to imagine him as a programmer.
I've seen him talk in real life. Right. That's just not what he sounds like. Like it seems like he's trying to act too tough in the movie. I don't know. A few movies that I've seen from him, he's had this voice and this like kind of persona for some no explained reason.
Yeah.
His normal voice is like, it just sounds like a normal voice. And he just sounds like he's drunk in this movie.
I think he definitely has a unique acting style. Yeah. And definitely some people don't prefer that. I'm someone who I've come to endear it over the years. You know, you see it in enough stuff. Now, I'm also somebody, I love Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and some you haven't seen that yet. You'll definitely be seeing that. So I've watched him for a long time, my whole group. Now, so I've kind of grown up just being used to Keanu, you know what I mean? So I can imagine someone coming in from the outside and be like, what is up with this dude? Like, so I get that, I totally get that. And now, here we are, Mason.
Why are you like spacing your words out so much?
Why don't you give us your rating for this movie?
I'm not talking like that. I'm gonna give.
You don't have to. I didn't tell you what to do.
I'm gonna give this movie. I'm gonna give it an 8.9.
Nice. I like it.
I like it. It's scratching up on a 90. I feel like for me, like I feel like the concept's so cool. I feel like the storytelling's great. Yeah. There's a few aspects, as we just mentioned, if you were watching the video.
Why'd you skip ahead? Don't do that.
That would bring this down a few notches, but I feel like an 8.9 is a pretty good score.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very respectable score. I think the more that you rewatch this over the years, and especially maybe as you watch the rest of the Matrix movies, you might get, it might change your perspective on this a little bit. Or I know one of my favorite things about this movie is that the rewatchability is great. You can find new things, find little things to look out for, and you're spending less time trying to piece the puzzle together and just spending more time kind of just like, you know, finding those fine little details.
Yeah.
My score, I'm going to toss out, I would honestly say 9.5. Wow. This is approaching like gold status for me, where it's getting close to flawless. There's a few writing moments and acting moments that could be better, but honestly, like I said earlier, I don't have a least favorite performer. I think everyone nailed it for the most part. Even guys like Joey Pants and the people that didn't get enough shine, that's not their fault. That's a spot where it could have improved in writing, but visually, definitely aged pretty well, especially like now, like streaming on Max, it's like 4K, UHD, all that stuff. Like they make it pretty good for nowadays. You know, I think they could have done. The audio has just aged so bad. Some of the tech has aged really bad. There's some stuff that just takes you out. And
even some of the visuals, like
some of the visual effects as well, just make you realize you're watching a 90s, early 2000s movie, and that's why you're gonna lose a few points on me. You can't be perfect. Can't be perfect. We hope that you enjoyed this video. If you love The Matrix or haven't watched it yet, and this causes you to watch it, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you in the comments.
Yes, and roll the outro.
Thanks for checking out this video, fellow backtrackers.
Like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that.
Yeah, if you got a video or a movie you want us to cover, like, just let us know in the comments.
Follow Instagram, Facebook, and all of our socials.
Or don't, I don't really give a shit.